Hello, everybody. I'm gonna call the meeting to order. It's 6 o'clock. Would you all join me for the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next up, we have roll call attendance. Madam Clerk.
Director Diamond,
Here.
Director Kelly,
Here.
Director Kingman,
Here.
Director Levesque, Vice President Knapp,
Here.
Student Advisor Levon,
Here.
Student Advisor Nichols,
Here.
Superintendent Sweeting.
Here. Thank you. And then next up is the approval of the agenda. Would anybody like to make any changes, or can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the agenda. Second.
Okay, thank you. Director Diamond motioned and Director Kingman seconded.
Director Diamond,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
Director Kingman,
Aye.
Vice President Levesque. Oh, I'm sorry, Vice President Knapp.
Hi, thank you. Okay, next up would be public comment. Do we have anybody signed up over Zoom or?
We do not.
Okay, great. So we'll move on to new business, which is the contract for Pioneer Elementary School improvements. I'd like to welcome Brian Lewis, who's the Executive Director of Operations.
Good evening, directors. Thank you for letting me speak to you tonight regarding a contract proposal for envelope improvements at Pioneer Elementary School. So elementary, envelope improvements is just a condensed way of describing all of these activities that you see up here on the screen. The proposed contract would allow for removal and replacement of existing roofing materials on the building, replaced with new roofing and make roof decking repairs as needed. So there is an allowance within the contract to replace sheets of plywood that may have deteriorated over time, in addition to replacing the roofing and the sheathing that goes underneath the roofing. Also replaced will be siding and trim materials as needed. If you walk around the building, you can see there are several spots where the trim and the siding have degraded over time. Luckily, there's been no water intrusion behind the siding or the trim material, so we had some destructive testing completed, which allows us to look beneath the surface, so to speak, and see if there's any kind of damage to the areas of concern that we're replacing. We'll also be replacing defective vinyl clad windows. When I say they're defective, what's happened is that the windows at that building are double pane, and they've got a gas barrier in between them. And sometimes the seals on the windows fail and that gas escapes and they lose their insulating quality. It also can have a foggy appearance to it as well. There are a few windows there, not very many, but a few that we're going to be replacing as part of this project. And then the building gutters around the building as well, because we're taking this as an opportunity, as you can see, included in the scope of work, is repainting the building as well. The building has its original paint on it from 2006, so it's 18 years, and it's looking tired. And also has some quality to it in terms of repelling water that we want to restore with new paint. That means part of it, we can choose to maintain the same color scheme on the gutters right now, or we can go with a new paint scheme. And because those gutters are factory finished with their metal with a factory finish on them, we're going to replace the gutters as well. It's not a huge cost item, but it'll make the building look much better. There's also some downspouts that have developed leaks in them over time. And they're pretty easy to spot because there's a water stain on the building at the point where the leak is present. And that's included in the contract to repair those downspouts. And then finally, there's concrete block at the base of the building, and there's also several concrete block walls on the site that are not part of the building itself, but there's dugouts for the baseball field. There's also walls that shield noise from Highway 9 coming into the site. There's garbage enclosures that have concrete block wall around them. Those will be cleaned, and we'll apply anti-graffiti coating and sealant to those as well to protect them in the future. We conducted a public bid process last week. You can see the range of bids. It's presented up here. We did receive 4 bids. We're very pleased with the bids that we received. The architect's estimate was $1.8 million. The bids that we received are reflective of a competitive environment in contracting right now. The tight range that they're within tells us that they're valid, that the low bid is meaningful in terms of relation to the real world cost. We did review the bid with the low bidder, and they're standing by it. And we're planning to conduct the work. It says here between 6/17/24. That's the last day of school, but we'll be preparing the site for staging, identifying the laydown yard, which is a place at the school where materials can be stored, and equipment can be stored as well. So we won't actually be starting work until 6/18. And we expect to be finished by 8:30 in time for school to start. So just for some illustration, the top image shows the building as it currently appears. And you can see the concrete block wall that I'm referring to, the CMU concrete masonry units that make up a large part of the lower structure, the lower story of the structure. And they're throughout the building. That's the area that'll be sealed and have the anti-graffiti coating on it after painting. Some of the structural metal you see here, this will also be repainted to preserve it. There's a steel deck underneath the roof here in the back of the building on the covered plate area. If you go to the site right now, you can see paint's peeling off of it on both of those areas. That'll be removed. The steel decking will be primed and repainted. These are the gutters that we'll be replacing throughout the site, along with the trim boards that will be repainted or replaced as necessary. It's got kind of a brown color on the roofing material right now. So this is what the colors will appear to look like. There's like a darker gray or light black. Is that anything call it? I forget the title of it, but that's the color of the new roofing material.
A metal roof?
No, it's not metal. It's shingle. Yeah, metal is much more expensive. It has a different kind of architectural purpose that we'll have. We'd have to have supporting structures underneath it as well. It stops cell phone signal from entering the building. We are not going to use a metal roof on that building. The paint color we selected, was a little more vibrant than the existing color, and a little simpler too. You can see there's different blocks of color that's been simplified to be a little more bold in terms of the appearance. So this is what we hope to have at the end of the project. You can see inside of the building, you can see damage to the roof that's apparent because water has penetrated through. This is probably the building most in need of roofing at this point in the district. We're lucky that we were able to manage the 2020 capital levy funds to fund this project. We have sufficient funding remaining from the 2020 capital levy as well to do Presidents, the same process with Presidents next summer. That's our plan for next summer, is to do that building up there with these envelope improvements. Okay, be happy to answer any questions.
Is this the the original roof and original paint from, it was built 21 years ago, 20,
2006,
oh, okay, so not quite, but,
no, 18 years.
okay.
And 18 years is what we would expect to see
Mhm.
for this kind of roofing in terms of longevity.
Ryan, this is Sherry. What is your expectancy going forward, with what you're doing now with window, change out and painting and gutters? What will be the life expectancy of this project?
5 years. We selected a heavier duty roofing material to reapply. It's a laminated architectural shingle, so it's 3 layers instead of 2 like what's currently on there. So we expect it to be more resistant to wind and won't curl so much like you can see on the building now. There's curling all over the place.
Is there anti-graffiti coating on there now?
No.
Okay,
It's graffiti an issue.
What's that?
Is graffiti a big?
It has
issue?
been.
Okay.
I gotta praise our maintenance department because you usually don't see graffiti on our buildings. Because our maintenance department, as soon as they receive notification of the graffiti is present, they're on it before school even starts. So we can remove it quickly. There is that broken windows theory that if we let it linger, then it's gonna encourage more. And so we try to get rid of it as fast as we can.
that's great. Our student advisors have any questions or comments? No, okay. Okay, this is an action item. So if there's no further questions, I'd like to propose a motion.
A motion to approve. I'll second.
Director Diamond,
Yes.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
Director Kingman,
Aye.
Vice President Now.
Aye, thank you.
Thanks,
Sorry,
Brian.
I was asking, Director Knapp if we were having an advisory vote from the students, but I think that we can put that on in abeyance.
Yeah. Sorry for the distraction.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up, I'd like to welcome Gina Zutenhorst, Executive Director of Financial Services, to present to us the reduced educational program for 24-25.
Yes, thank you.
Thank
So I'm just gonna jump right in. So we are talking today about our financial resources. The district does not have assured financial resources to maintain its program and services at the present levels for the 24-25 fiscal year. And so it's necessary to make reductions. And I want to say many school districts across Washington state are experiencing similar challenges, either in the prior year or the current fiscal year. Will be making adjustments or they'll be making them in the next fiscal year due to similar situations as what the district is experiencing. So I'll talk about those primary issues that are contributing to that need. Inflation. It's not only causing higher costs for goods and services, but also for staffing costs that are increasing with the anticipated cost of living increases and negotiated salary increases across multiple labor groups. Exhaustion of pandemic-induced federal and state aid, which are non-recurring funds. Enrollment declines. These have been recovering, but have not recovered to pre-pandemic levels quite yet. Maintenance of higher staffing levels during and directly after the pandemic. Schools were directly tasked with mitigating impacts of the pandemic and taking measures to accelerate student learning. And use of one-time excess fund balance and minimum reserves during the 22-23 year and the 23-24 fiscal year that we're in. Finally, the state's funding model that continues to lead to funding gaps, specifically their model with challenges around declining regionalization, continued underfunding of the true costs of education, especially special education. And there we go. Those are the reasons. Previous presentations with the board, we've talked about the financial highlights of the current budget And we've continually indicated that future year forecasts are signaling a need to make reductions by a minimum of $2.5 million. Those projections and estimates for 24-25 revenues for next year and the expenditures are continually being compiled and updated under changing circumstances. But decisions must be made at this juncture, not today, but at this juncture, so that appropriate preparations can be made with the goal of achieving an appropriately balanced budget for the next fiscal year. So with these uncertainties in mind, the range of potential reductions being presented in the draft plan, and we'll switch there soon, is about 2.8 million. So before we switch this screen over to talk about the plan, let me highlight quickly what the resolution says. And describe its purpose as the official marker that the district is making reductions. The third paragraph in there describes the financial conditions, much of which I've just described. The fourth paragraph states it's necessary to make reductions and says including reductions to certificated, classified, and administrative positions. Then in the finally be it resolved section, item number 2, that authorizes the superintendent to take action as may be required by law or collective bargaining agreements or board policy. And the keynote is that when we're reducing positions, we must do so timely that our employees can be appropriately notified. And state law requires that for certificated employees, they must be notified by May 15 in writing if there's to be a non-renewal of their employment contract. So today's meeting, it's a presentation in a draft for comment, questions, approval of the reduced education program resolution by the next board meeting, April 22, would help ensure that employees can be notified, and we'd bring that resolution plan to that meeting and propose for adoption. So now switching to the plan. Here's a summarized plan for potential budget savings, reductions, or increased revenues. These are not easy solutions or changes. We recognize that these will be difficult for our system. We're doing an official reduced education program plan resolution so that we have the authority to, if we must, not renew or reduction in force through a layoff process. We've noted in our plan that we are trying to achieve the majority, if not all, of those reductions through attrition, where we have noted an FTE. For now, we're very close to that. So as the board's looking over the plan, I also want to note that the Budget Advisory Task Force was formed near the beginning of the 22-23 fiscal year, and we've continued to meet during the 23-24 fiscal year. And the members are comprised of community, staff, parents, students. And while it hasn't been a vote per se, the interactions as well as many meetings we've had with our district leadership team have informed this decision-making process along the way. And individuals in these groups are key communicators for us. And again, today's meeting is a draft, and we'll be back before the board during the April 22nd board meeting to request consideration of approval. So.
Yeah. Is there any questions or comments?
So those who don't depart based on attrition, what are your parameters in deciding who goes? Does the union decide based on seniority? Is it the needs of the classroom? Can you talk about
Yes.
how that decision gets made?
I will have to refer to it's the collective bargaining agreements, number 1. And then there are likely other factors that can come into play. So collective bargaining agreements are the number 1.
Yeah, we followed, so for example, and it's different for each group. So for certificated, we have a line in the sand to notify them. At this point, for certificated, we would achieve the 10 that are listed here through attrition. So there wouldn't, that means when we have people that have said they're retiring or they're resigning, moving out, and we're not refilling those positions. So we're taking that opportunity. Now, in some cases, we need to replace a position, so we move someone into that and then not reduce their position. And so there will be some, what we call, according to the CBA, some involuntary, sometimes voluntary transfers, because we'll say these positions are open as a result of this moving around. So the 10 is achieved through that, and we would follow our best we can, work alongside with the union to do the process correctly. But then classified staff, there's not per se a time, by law that we have to notify, but we want to be fair to individuals, and I've shared with the union president of PSC that I'd like to notify people if we can by the end of the month. Now, the 2 to 4 there's 2 categories here. The first one, 2 to 4, that it would be it's most likely going to end up being 2 positions, but those positions will probably be the individuals would then have other opportunities within our system, so they don't have the same like involuntary transfer, but we'd say this position is going away, but we have these positions. Now they could choose to either take one or not. Down, when you go to the special education, it's noted there's 1 certificated that is as a result of a program that is no longer needed. It's a specialized program, and the students are going to get their services in a different way. So they will still get their services. The classified staff, it says 6 to 11, or of those 11, 6 to 11. At the moment, we're looking at about potentially 6 of them, or 6 to 8 of them might be in a reduction in force situation. However, that just means that position would be gone, but then there's a pool of other positions that are available, so there's a process for that. Because we are in need of staffing. It's just those particular positions are being redesigned. There's a redesign in that. So just wanted to know that we do follow, and it's different for each group, different groups.
Thank you.
Dr. Sweeting, I have a question for you. So I'm just a little, I'm a little confused in a way that we as a district, are looking at these reductions because we have a limit on our budget. But if we were to get more students, let's say more special ed students came into our district, or even just more students in general, and we don't have the staffing, is there ever a time when we as a district are kind of on the hook? I mean, I feel like we're on the hook anyway. And I know Gina articulated that very well, saying, that we have budgetary limitations, and yet the state is not really meeting their needs. And I don't like that the district is on the hook for providing these things, and then we're not really given the funding to amply provide services to our students. I don't know that that requires a response, but I just wanted to put it out there that I do not enjoy seeing districts in this position, because we are mandated to provide this for the students in our community. So
Yeah.
just
But
FYI.
Yeah, thanks, Director Kelly. I will say that this is where we would start the year, and this is based, this is based on these reductions in the special ed world are based on, we have students that are aging out. We have students that they no longer need because they've grown in their skills. They no longer need a one-on-one. So those are good things. That's a movement of that FTE because the student has increased in their capacity and abilities. So that's great. But if we start the year and maybe a new student comes in and they have a need, we will address that need. So most likely there will be additions and it could be in any of the situations, it could be in any of the areas, but especially in special education, there could be staff that's added, and that happens throughout the year. So, yeah.
Is there a
Thank you.
para pool? Because classified are paras, right? Para educators. Is there a para pool that we could pull from if need arises, or do we do like compensatory services as well for the kids? It's like what Sherry, okay.
Sometimes. We you always have a need for classified staff, you know, and so when I talk about those 6 to 8 positions, those are positions that, for example, maybe the students moving on and we don't, that one-on-one is no longer needed. So that's why that position is not there. And so that's the kind of mechanism it is. That doesn't mean that that person might not have a
Right,
job,
right.
it's just different. And we're just always in need. But we don't have a pool, but we try to have subs available.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
usually we hire, you know, the subs are ready and most of them are ready to get
Yeah.
hired, so. Be hired.
Any thoughts from the student advisors?
No.
No, I don't think I have thoughts. I like that we're not just like turning away the people that are being taken out of the position when the position is no longer available. I like that there's an opportunity and option for them to fill another role and not just like, well, we have nothing for you, so it's time to go.
And that's why we're kind of waiting for classified. We give it a little bit more time because there's not a state deadline to notify them. So by the time we might be ready to tell them, like say in a month, we have this pool of jobs that are available or in the fall. So it's just a different approach then.
Yeah. I mean, I know we've been looking at this, you know, since our budget challenge has started, since I came on the board. So, we get updated frequently and it, you know, now has come to decision time again. So I don't really have any questions regarding this because I understand all the meetings that have been happening. And I think what I would like to say is just expressing gratitude for everybody who's been working on it, the Budget Advisory Task Force, Gina, the district leadership team who is fearless, and some people coming up with creative ideas, because I know, you know, we're advocates for special education, so seeing that on there is difficult, but I do have hope and I have faith in our amazing educators. And, you know, I believe myself and the board were committed to, you know, vision aligned budgeting, and we're going to keep the vision and do the best we can for the students, even during difficult times. So I still have hope and just thank you.
Appreciate those words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a draft. We don't make any decisions tonight. We'll have a few more days to look at it and talk about it again on Monday. So thank you. Thanks, Tina. Okay. So next up is our revised calendar for the 23-24 school year. Superintendent Sweet.
Yes, so we did not make it through this school year without a snow day. So we had a snow day in January, and state law requires us to have 180 days of instructional, of the instruction available to our students. So this is adding, or not really adding, it's just making up that day on Monday, the 17th. And that would be just like any last day would be, it's 3 hours early dismissal. The question came up today and yesterday about the Friday, then the 17th wasn't originally planned as an early dismissal. But we need to stay, in my mind, consistent. And our instructional, you have hours that you have to comply with and you have days. And there's enough leeway there that we should be fine with the 1,027 hours that we need to comply with. So I feel safe enough for us to say that the 17th becomes, as every Friday has been, is an early dismissal. Otherwise it'd be confusing to our families.
Right.
So that's.
So was the question to do a full day on Friday?
Well,
Was that what?
It did, I think originally when we posted this, we didn't have it we had it as a full day,
Oh, okay.
so.
And there won't be any education happening that day anyway.
Well, hopefully
Yeah.
there will be, but and typically there's field days, they do field
Yeah.
days, so there's other kind of learning that takes place. But anyway, that's what we need to consider, the board.
Okay. Any thoughts? This is an action item. Yeah, okay. Sherry?
I don't have any questions, no.
Okay.
Very straightforward.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is an action item, right? right? So I would like to,
Can I say? one more
yes,
thing?
yes.
One more
absolutely.
thing, there Eagle Creek Elementary had no electricity on one of the days this year, so I will be submitting to the State Board of Education an emergency waiver for that one school. And so I'll share that when it's prepared, I'll share that with the board at probably the May 13th board meeting. But I didn't-
Okay.
Just letting you know on that, sorry.
All right, yeah, thank you for that, yes. Okay, would anybody like to make a motion?
I make a motion.
Calendar.
We approve.
I
second.
second that motion.
Okay, what I heard was Director Diamond made the motion and Director Kelly seconded.
She's okay with that.
Okay.
So,
Okay, Director Diamond,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Vice President Knapp.
Aye. Okay, so this is a special meeting. I don't see any other items on there, so our last motion is to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
I second motion.
Okay. Director Kingman, thank you for motioning, and Director Diamond second.
Okay, Director Diamond,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Vice President Knapp.
Aye. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
But we do have a meeting now.
Oh, yep, sorry. That's the last part. Yes, our next meeting is Monday, April 22nd. Yeah.
Thank you.